So we're back, we're talking about Candida, one of my favorite subjects, treating Candida, treating treatment-resistant Candida. And today I wanted to share 3 uncommon herbal antifungals that I will turn to in the right patient. They're really common antifungals that people are using all the time, things like Podarco, things like Horopedo, things like oregano oil, garlic's really big, all the essential oil herbs are pretty big as well. But today I want to share 3 kind of more novel, unusual herbal antifungals, Candida treatment herbs, and when they might be indicated and when they might not be indicated as well. So let me list the 3 herbs and then we'll run through them. We've got magnolia bark, we've got tulsi, and we've got galangal. And they might not be herbs that you've heard much of. I mean, maybe tulsi as a herb, but maybe not as an antifungal, maybe not for Candida. And galangal, you might have kind of pigeonholed that as kind of food, Thai food, right? But if we're talking about those herbs, they're kind of specific. They've all got anti-Candida properties. Standalone treatment, they kind of wouldn't really work for most people with, proper kind of fungal overgrowth that need strong treatment, but they can definitely support effective treatment for different reasons. So if we're talking about magnolia bark, it comes from traditional Chinese medicine or classical Chinese medicine as Ho-Po, and it directs qi down, right? So they'll use it for a lot of this qi stagnation, to my kind of understanding. I mean, I'm sure a bunch of other reasons as well. But from Western herbal medicine or like biomedicine, it's a strong prokinetic, and that's really where I have most of my experience with magnolia bark. I will recommend liters of magnolia bark a month, and it can be hard to take. We're going to talk about that in a second. But when I would be recommending magnolia bark for my Candida patients would be as a biofilm disruptor, and that can really, those biofilms with Candida can lead to treatment resistance. And when you tackle fungal biofilms, it can lead to big breakthroughs and a big worsening of symptoms. I'm working with, always on the books, at least 3 or 4 patients where every time we touch them with biofilm disruptors for Candida treatment, their symptoms flare, they herx, they have big die-off symptoms, all their symptoms go, up 10 out of 10, we gotta back off and go slower. To me, that confirms we're on the right track, because if you didn't have a fungal overgrowth and you implement a fungal biofilm disruptor, it shouldn't do much. I always joke, like I could take, Candidase is a really common one that I use for fungal biofilms. I could take a whole bottle in a week, like I wouldn't notice a difference. If you are feeling so much worse on small doses of something like Candidase, it's likely that you have fungal overgrowth. We're always comparing that or layering in lab test results to give us a little bit more data as well. But back to magnolia bark. Magnolia bark is a strong biofilm disruptor, and I would pair that when a patient needs motility support, which is very common with fungal overgrowth like Candida, and it's also very common with mold exposure as well. So that's another kind of fungal, dysregulation piece. People's digestive tracts can just slow down or shut down, and they can't clear, and they're having incomplete bowel movements, and things are just sitting, and they're bloated and they're constipated. Magnolia bark goes a really long way. Now I see a lot of brands, supplement brands here in Australia, they're using magnolia bark more as like a nervine anxiolytic to help with kind of stress and anxiety. There's a few really popular products. I kind of don't see it. I don't see it a whole lot. And like I say, I will recommend so much magnolia bark. I haven't really seen strong mood improvements with it. It's not my go-to. I haven't seen any traditional use for magnolia bark as mood support. Could have missed something? Let me know in the comments below if you see good improvements with magnolia bark for your mood, anxiety, depression. But for me, strong prokinetic and also a reasonable Candida biofilm disruptor. Now, when would it not be indicated? 2 reasons. Magnolia bark is strong. It's bitter, which is fine. You know, a lot of the herbs we use are bitter and, you know, different degrees of bitterness. It's also got this kind of acrid taste to it, and it can be hard to choke down for sure. It's one of those herbs where, you know, when I'm dispensing it, I'm saying, ooh, look, you know, is this patient robust enough? Is this patient capable of tolerating that, you know, physiological effect of taste on their body, which is really where a lot of the herbs work, right? You got to taste them for them to work, and that's why liquid herbs work so much better than capsules, in my opinion. That's my theory, but that's what I see in the clinic. Liquid herbs for the win, if you can tolerate them. They're way stronger and way more effective. The other reason when I wouldn't use, the other cases where magnolia bark might be a bit contraindicated would be fast motility. So if someone is just flushing things through and they've actually got fast motility, magnolia bark would not be something that I would start with, because it would just speed that up and flush them through. They might be losing some of their nutrients. They might, you know, be dealing with weight loss. You know, magnolia bark wouldn't be something I'd start with there. Number 2, we've got Tulsi, holy basil, and this is a strong plant ally for me. I like to grow Tulsi. Here it is a perennial, it just keeps growing, big, beautiful. The bees love it. It smells really aromatic. It almost has this like pungent aromatic kind of, you know, taste and flavor. You know, it's definitely related to basil, but it's not that sweet basil. It's more like that oregano, thyme, you know, marjoram. It's much more like kind of Mediterranean in its kind of taste and you know, kind of flavor profile. Very kind of sharp and you know, aromatic. And I would be using Tulsi as an antimicrobial when patients are stressed out and when stress is part of the block to getting them better. And again, got cases galore on where, you know, that stress and that sympathetic dominance and where people get kind of stuck is the block to healing for sure. And so Tulsi, it's a beautiful kind of nervine, calming, and it's also got all those volatile essential oils that are antifungal at the same time. Does also have a little bit of immune kind of modulating, immune supporting piece. I do use a lot of Tulsi when people are kind of like acutely run down. Maybe they've got lung issues, maybe they've got like a cold or a flu. It can also be indicated there as well. And then for me, not so much contraindications, but where I wouldn't use Tulsi is, you know, when people need those hard hitters, when they're not getting results, Tulsi wouldn't be the go-to to get results. It's not kind of dialing up intensity of treatment. It's operating on that more kind of mild to moderate antifungal kind of program, which is great. You know, I often kind of joke with patients, like, if you don't need a sledgehammer, you know, start with just a regular hammer. We don't just need to blow the doors off to get results. We need you feeling better, and we don't want to be having to put the pieces back together on the other side if you didn't need those strong interventions. Stronger is not always better. That's the take home there. Now, number 3, and this is kind of like my secret weapon. I want to share this and talk about it and, you know, bring it a little bit more to popular culture if I can, just be a little bit part of that. You know, as much as my reach will permit me to. And I want to talk about galangal, and so this is a relative to ginger. I was doing a little list of a video I want to share with you guys soon, and it's like my top 5 herbs. It's like 5 herbs that I couldn't live without, right? Galangal's not there, right? Ginger is their top. Like, not most people will get it, but it is a top recommendation. Galangal is related to ginger. It's similar to ginger, but it has different properties to ginger. I haven't found that prokinetic motility piece with galangal, but I have found that carminative, you know, gas relieving and abdominal pain. I have seen that with galangal for sure. It's also a circulatory stimulant, so it can kind of like move things around and kind of like decongest the body. But I do use a whole lot of galangal where it's most used in my clinic. I use a ton of it, small amounts. We're going to talk about that with contraindications. But I use small amounts of galangal as strong antifungal, strong candida support. If we're treating something like aspergillosis, which is like green mold growing in the body, treat a fair amount of that. Galangal is a must-have. And in my anti-candida dispensary, I would be lacking in a big way if I didn't have galangal. So, a lot of the times, patients will get, sorry about that, I should have had that ready. People will get a 500 ml bottle of herbs. This will last 5 or 6 weeks. And galangal might make up a tenth. So not a huge amount, just 50 ml maybe in a 500 ml bottle, but that goes a long way. It's very spicy, it's very aromatic, and that's where it might be contraindicated if there's already heat in the body. And so if people are a little bit more sensitive, if they need something a little bit smoother, if they need something a little bit more gentle, galangal ain't your herb. I would not start with that because it is very heating, very moving, and very intense in flavor, profile, and effect. So those are 3 more novel antifungal herbs, anti-candida herbs. If you've used any of them before, leave a comment below. Love to hear from you. If I missed any that you think are kind of unusual but you get big results with, let me know, because I'm always trying to expand my kind of candida treatment approaches, because one thing doesn't work for everyone. That is like a huge piece I want to share in these videos, because often people see these videos and they come and work with me and they think, look, it's one and done and off I go, he's a miracle worker. Unfortunately not. Like, there's no silver bullet. I wish I had the silver bullet. But it's working together and finding your healing kind of approach and your healing formulas and things you can do with diet and lifestyle, the Venn diagram, spirituality, mindfulness, better sleep, better diet, the herbs, the whole piece, supplements, the whole piece that's going to get you better and keep you better. And one of my favorite mentors, Kenneth Prufrock, just learned so much. Never met him, never talked to him, but just learned so much from him. He talks a lot about facilitating a paradigm shift, and that's where people who are open to it get better. Some patients come to me and they're so stuck in dysfunction and they're so defined by their illness that it can be very difficult to kind of shift them out of that groove. And then other patients come to me and they might be horribly unwell, like so deep, dark, in a hole, can't get better. And you can tell immediately from talking to them, you're going to see results because they're open, they're willing to change, they're willing to take on, recommendations and fit it to their lifestyle. So, look, actually, I'm not so kind of keen on that. And how do we modulate it? There's no silver bullet. There is a myriad of things that we can do together, and we just have to find the right fit for you to get you better. Like, comment, subscribe. That helps me grow the channel, reach more people. And if you are looking for gut support, candida treatments, you live in Australia or New Zealand, there will be a booking link in the description below, and I'd love to work with you.